Well, it is the first day of the Geneva Motor Show. New launches from global car makers have been coming in thick and fast. Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on the CNBC-TV18 special. First up, it is the big revival bet from Tata Motors. The company has taken the wraps off the Racemo. That's a mid-engined, rear-wheel drive sports car. Yes, a sports car from Tata Motors. The car is powered by a 1.2-litre Revotron motor that makes 190 PS of power. Now, speaking exclusively to CNBC-TV18 in Geneva, Tata Motors Managing Director Gunter Butchek said that the first delivery of the Racemo will be done by the end of this financial year. He added that the company's latest sedan, the Tigor, will be in showrooms in less than a month, and a new SUV is slated to be launched just ahead of Diwali. So here's more on what Tata Motors has lined up in the CNBC-TV18 exclusive conversation.
Racemo is the first product under our new sub-brand Tamo. And as you might recall, Tamo stands for Tata Mobility Solutions. And Tamo has actually three directions. The first one is it's a new sub-brand, which we are going to use in order to bring new technologies and new mobility concepts to the market. The second one is it's an ring-fenced, as we call it, a ring-fenced vertical in our organization in order to make sure that we work in a kind of incubator-like environment.
And everybody is sworn to secrecy about the plans that you work on.
And it worked perfectly well with this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So nothing actually leaked beforehand. Everybody wanted to actually get bits and pieces out of our organization. There were even some very nice renderings, but none of the renderings, I do hope you can confirm, has effectively been close to the Racemo. But this vertical is a very important one. Yeah. Because it helps us in a different way of working with different partners on this open platform to deliver, after some 24 months, new products, new technologies in order to meet the requirements of different models, of different business models in a market environment which is highly dynamic on the one hand side, but on the other side it's also very disruptive and it's characterized by a high degree of discontinuity.
You know, let me tell you one thing, Gunter. You know, it seems that the markets are also reposing faith in you as the turnaround man for Tata Motors. The stock is up right now as we speak because clearly, you know, this unveil of yours has been taken very well. Tell me a little bit about, you know, about the systems that you're trying to put in place. You know, within the journalist circle, we call it Tata Motors 2.0. It's almost sort of a rediscovery for Tata Motors too. Tell me a few things because you've also, of course, you know, this product is based on the MoFlex technology, and which is why you're saying that earlier it would have taken 4 years, but now it's going to take 2 years. Talk to me a little bit about that because it is the embodiment of that technology that we see behind us.
Before I go for the technology, and I'm going to provide you a bit more of an insight in the technology as such and what it actually gives us as far as the requirements of Tamo and in this case Racemo is concerned. Just as a recap, what we have recently presented to the public, to the media, is the new passenger vehicle strategy, which consists of two pillars. The one is two future platforms as of 2018, where we actually leverage these platforms from currently 6 with even more different models, where we are going to leverage the two platforms with a degree of 80 to 90% of commonality in order to spread over wings across different segments and milieus in order to actually have economies of scale. And economies of scale means lower cost and helps to actually generate a profitable growth. That's the one part of the business. But in a market, as I mentioned, with discontinuity, disruption, with the request for new technologies in the field of powertrain, in the field of connectivity, in the field of advanced driver assistance system, I cannot put all of these requirements on what we consider the mainstream, because these mainstream products need to compete in a very dynamic and aggressively competitive market environment, where you need to be careful that you don't put too much of a cost burden on these products.
So it's almost like a parallel plan that's happening.
And that's the reason why we were desperately seeking for an opportunity to actually get something which we call low investment, but in return lower volume, which gives us the chance to be much faster to the market. And to actually bring all of these new concepts to life, not in a laboratory environment, not in a prototype kind of environment.
As a final product.
As a final product which we are going to deliver in significant numbers, but not in high numbers, to our customers, where we actually prove the concept on the basis of this experience. And as we actually understand the proof of concept, we actually take these concepts then also back to the mainstream products in order to actually give accessibility.
Like a positive feedback loop that you're trying
Exactly,
to
and then we bring these technologies with a higher economies of scales, with higher volumes, back to the mainstream products. And this is what we can actually accomplish with the technology called MoFlex. It's a patent we own at Tata Motors already since a couple of years, since 2007, where we have invested a lot in order to get it ready for the particular purpose to be used in the automotive sector. And it was a coincidence that we were seeking for such kind of technology, where we actually made up our mind that we said we need to bring products to the market in a much faster way, with lower investment and therefore with lower risk. And this is pretty much reflected in the race mode today, and more to come.
Why a sports car is what many would say. Why didn't you use it for some other, another smarter car? Because since, smart mobility is also something, another focus area is about. Why a sports car for, from Tata Motors?
First of all, I do believe that a sports car can be a smart car. This sports car is in particular a smart one because it's the first connected car in India. And we wanted to actually bring something to the market which also creates a halo on Tata Motors as a brand. Because as I mentioned earlier in my speech, this car is something unexpected. It's an unexpected presentation and value proposition which is going to help us to get us into the consideration list of the young ones. This is going to make us a youthful brand. And I think it comes with lots of emotions, where we are of the opinion a race car is still in our business the most emotional product.
So when do we see this hitting the markets then?
We expect first deliveries by the end of the year.
End of this financial year?
End of this financial year. That's the reason why we said this is not a show car. This is a ready-to-go a car which is going to be industrialized in the coming weeks and months. Then we are going to ramp up production and we'll take it for the road testing, and end of the year we're going to definitely deliver the first car to the customer.
And the kind of pricing that we may look at for this, Gunther?
Our general stand pricing is going to be announced at the point of commercial launch. Today is showing the car at the show here in Geneva, and commercial launch is going to take place later in the year.
Tell me a little bit about Tigor, because that's another car that you've showcased, and you've said, when do we expect the car?
I think Tigor, as was mentioned by Mayank, our head of the passenger vehicle business, the countdown is running. It's another 22 days, and then the Tigor is in the showrooms after the commercial launch on the 28th of March.
Okay, so then how many cars are we looking at, that we will be expecting from Tata Motors stable in this financial year then? You've got Tigor, you've got this, and what about the next one?
In the new financial year.
In the new financial year.
So, because Tigor is still going to be launched in this financial year, so 16-17. Right. 17-18 we are going to launch before Diwali. Now you can actually make up your mind if this is 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 weeks before Diwali, we are going to launch the next one. Right. I think a long-awaited product from the stable of Tata Motors, where we will finally celebrate our revival in the SUV segment as the fastest growing market segment in India.
One last question then, Gunther. Markets have taken well, the initiatives that you've undertaken at Tata Motors, the launch. But the big question also on everybody's mind would be, perhaps the toughest job to turn Tata Motors standalone operations profitable. Anything that you can tell us? How is that going? What's the roadmap in place? Surely, because those are important questions that investors would want answers to.
You're pretty familiar with the statement on our vision. We are saying high performance culture, end of fiscal year 19, and one of the sub-statements talks about market share. or position in the market in CV. Third largest global in CV, third largest in PV domestic. And it also talks about innovation, and most importantly, it talks about self-sustainable financial performance. And you're also aware from some of our earlier conversation that we have launched what we call a strategic game plan by the name Impact Improvement by Action, where we have already launched the first phase with 10 projects. These days, the second phase with an additional 4 projects, and everything that is required to actually create the top-line growth on the one hand side and baseline improvements, cost agility and cost reduction on the other side, including structural improvements as far as the backbone processes are concerned. It's all baked in there. The result of this is going to give us in the combination a self-sustainable, profitable financial performance. It's rather a question by when this is going to be accomplished, which is determined to a certain extent depending on our performance, but it's also a question how the markets are going to further develop, because we cannot afford to have that many more second and third quarters like in the fiscal 16 and 17 were out of our control. The market partly disappeared, and where we had almost no opportunity to recover in the remaining period of the year. And we do hope that we are actually going to see a much better outlook in the fiscal year 17-18. So what I usually say, if we would enjoy a bit more of a tailwind instead of very strong headwinds as we have seen it in the last couple of months, I think we can significantly accelerate our recovery and turnaround program.
Good, sir. Always a pleasure. Thank you very, very much.
Well,
and wish you all the luck. We'll be in touch.
Thank you
very much. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye.
Well, that was Tata Motors' Gunter Buschek hoping for a better year starting 2017. But coming up next, top global automakers are worried about President Trump's proposed border tax. Small pit stops, and we're back in 2.